Welcome back to another live and amplified indie fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Tonight we have a very special guest plural, joining us. We have Aleeda Blu. How's it going today?
Hi, hey, good. Yeah, thank you for having us. Yes.
Yeah, excited to have you here.
Yeah.
So you guys are based out of Nashville. How long have you been in Nashville?
We are. So we're originally from Richmond, Virginia, and we moved to Nashville 3 years ago. So
Nice.
2021. We moved here in 2021. But yeah, it's a great city, and we both knew that in order to further our career in music, we needed to move to a music city. So, but yeah, Nashville's been very great to us so far. So
Nice.
met a lot of great singers, a lot of great songwriters, and yeah, so it's been great.
Nice. Did you guys move there shortly after the pandemic kind of started not being as big of a thing?
Probably like a year after everything kind of opened back up and all that stuff. And then, yeah, so it kind of gave us some time, especially when we came down here, and then everything was open, the writers' rounds, the bars, everything. So it was so much easier than if we were to move like a year earlier. That would not be good. But yes.
Right. I went to Nashville about 2 months before everything kind of happened, and it was interesting because I don't think anybody really kind of knew what was coming, and then like we had plans coming back in like April, and it was like, yep, that's not going to happen now.
Everything shut down, quarantine.
Yep, it was a crazy time. So, how long have y'all been playing music together? Obviously, you're twin sisters, but how long have you guys been playing together?
I would probably say, all our lives. We grew up singing in the church.
Like everybody?
I know, like a lot of artists. I feel like that's where they start. But yeah, I feel like even at maybe the youngest age of like 5 years old, I don't know, it's just God-given talent, and we've always just been able to sing, and we're super blessed for that. And I do play piano as well. I picked up guitar when I first moved to Nashville, but piano's kind of more my niche. So yeah, I play piano, and then we both sing and harmonize together. But I would say, we've been singing all our lives together. So
yeah, it's kind of always been that way.
Because I kind of typically sing like lead melodies sometimes, and then she has like really good harmony, so she comes in and adds like flavor and everything to it. It's typically been that way since we grew up, but even more now being in the studio, it's really fun to kind of switch things up that way, because sometimes she may lead a song, and then sometimes I would just add some harmony. But yeah, we've always sung together, and it was just that that sibling harmony is really special. So we have always been together.
It's funny you bring that up because when we first started doing Live and Amplified, one of the very first bands was a set of twin sisters out of New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, we were coordinating through their mother because they were like 14 at the time.
Yeah.
And it just kind of watching them grow, and that harmony, that authentic harmony, that I don't know how you want to describe it, but like that's really cool. So
yes, I know. I'm super grateful to have her. So, because especially in the studio when we sing, sometimes I'm like, is that me singing? Was that Megan singing? I know it's so hard to tell because our voices are so, they're very similar. Obviously, they are different, but they're extremely similar. So sometimes I'm like, I think that was me. No, I don't know. I think that was Megan. But that's what's even crazier now, especially being in the studio.
For sure. That's I could imagine how that would be like, especially if you haven't heard the song in a while or something.
I know.
It's just kind of like,
I'm like, who was singing what? Especially when you sing in the melody. I know, especially when we come to sing live. I'm like, okay, who was singing the harmony? Who was singing melody here? But then we really have to like listen. I'm like, I think that's me. That's me.
Right. And it's like you just start messing with people, and then you switch it up and just see if anybody notices. And
right. We do that in person. I know. We did do that growing up, which is funny.
That was actually going to be one of my questions, was how many times you guys swap places in school?
Well, it's actually, we only did it one time
in school,
but we actually have identical twin uncles. So twins run in our family.
I know.
And when we were in high school, I think, we were seniors in high school. Our uncles were like, have you guys switched classes at all? I'm like, no. He's like, well, you should do it. It's your senior year. Like, you're going to regret doing it if you don't. So we switched classes like the entire day, and our teachers had no idea. Some of my teachers didn't even know I was a twin, but I told my teachers at the end of the year, and they were like, I had no idea. So yeah, it was funny. It
Wait,
makes for a good story.
It does.
how did your teachers not know you had a twin?
I don't know because
knows?
I mean, our graduating class was like 650 people,
Okay.
but I mean, we were never really in the same classes ever.
Yeah.
So that's kind of started when we were in elementary school. Like
They wouldn't put
they wouldn't put
twins
us in
together.
classes together. We were split up.
Yeah.
So I think it was like
Like they wanted you to be
an individual.
make your own friends, and not always
Exactly.
cling to your sister. So that was kind of
Okay.
a thing growing up in our school system, I guess. But yeah. Well, yeah, they didn't really know, and then they freaked out when they found out.
Yeah.
And
That's funny.
It was funny.
That's great. It's because in my head, like everybody had the same teachers. It was just a matter of like when you had them. And so like as far as like
okay.
during, so there was only if you were a senior, there was only one senior history teacher. And so it was just kind of, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Our school
sorry.
had like 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a
fair.
big school.
It was a big school.
So
Fair.
yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool. Um, so does music run in your family, or how'd you guys get introduced into music?
Yes. Music does run in our family. Our mom can sing, and then our uncle is a professional musician. He lives here as well. So he's the bass player for Martina McBride. He's been with her for 30 plus years, actually. So that was like actually our first concert was Martina McBride, and we grew up seeing her and all of that.
Listening to her music.
Listening to her music and all that good stuff. And we would go backstage and kind of see, our uncle would like show us where the tour buses were and all this. I'm like, oh my gosh. And you just have stars in your eyes. And so that kind of showed us at a young age. I'm like, oh, you can actually do this as a career. I want to do this.
Yeah.
So it did. It does run in our family, yes.
Nice. I think that's something that discourages a lot of people at the young age when like they have the aspirations of being a musician, that you can do it at all levels and still be considered successful.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And like, or
100%.
make a living doing it. You don't have to be Taylor Swift or Martina
Yeah.
McBride, but you can like tour around regionally and still make a good living doing it. So
For sure.
You can.
I mean, I think it just in the music industry, I mean, there's many different avenues, like you
Mhm.
said. I mean, you don't have to be, I mean, some people in this industry don't want to get signed, and some people
Mhm.
do. Some people want to be strictly a songwriter. Some people want to be the artist on stage or want to work like as a producer, A&R, the business side. I mean, it really just depends. I mean, there's lots of different avenues. So,
oh yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where Texas is a prime example of that. Like there's musicians here that they're legends in Texas, in the Texas country scene, but you go to Nashville, nobody's ever heard of them. So
exactly.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's always really interesting. So when did you kind of come up with the idea for Aleeda Blu? Like what was the original concept, or was it just always like a reason for you two to like sing together? And yeah.
It's funny because we changed the funny story behind
There's
that.
many stories. Yeah.
I mean, we've changed our name, our duo name, like 3 different times. So when we first moved to Nashville, it was Megan and Aaron, but I mean, that's not that unique. And so we ended up changing it to Moxie. And we actually spoke with a music attorney, and she was like, yeah, it would be kind of hard to trademark your name, Moxie, because there's like a soda brand name called Moxie. There's Moxie Hotel. There's other bands named Moxie. And she's like, I think it'd be smart if y'all changed it. And we were like, okay. So we were kind of having a setback until we could actually find a new name.
Yeah.
And we were brainstorming like with our manager, and I'm like, what can we choose as a name? And we just kept, rattling off names. She was like, what's your mom's name? What's your grandmother's name? And like, we came across Aleeda, and we're actually Panamanian from Hispanic background, and our mom's name is Aleeda. So we were like, okay, well, why don't we choose that? It's spelled a different way. And then we chose blue because we have blue eyes. So that's kind of how it came about. And it just stuck. So, and I was like, that's cute. It's very unique. And I'm like, no one will ever have that name. So,
Right. Because I think the spelling is what makes it unique. And
yes. I thought it'd be the easiest way to pronounce it. That's why.
And actually, it's kind of funny because your original name, Megan and Aaron, would probably been the easiest way to just kind of keep everything. Because
I know. I think someone mentioned to us when we first moved here, it's like there's Maddie and Tay, Dan and Shay. It's just, I mean, I don't know. She's like, maybe you guys should make it a little bit more unique. So, and I think Aleeda Blu just suits us well, especially with our, with our genre, pop and R&B. So yeah.
Nice. So was it always pop R&B that you guys wanted to, that you knew you wanted to perform, or was there like a time where it was like, I don't know, were you like in a punk rock phase or something?
That'd be funny if we were.
I know, wouldn't it? No. I mean, we grew up like I stated, we grew up singing in the church. So, I mean, I think we were raised on like many different genres of music. But I would say like we really do enjoy classical music as well. We were kind of raised on that, especially, I mean, our grandparents always played that in the house and everything. But we've always, I guess, like all the artists we've looked up to have always just been pop artists, and I think we've always, wanted to emulate their careers. So yeah, it's always kind of been pop, and now we're kind of leading more towards like modern day R&B a little bit with the new single we're going to be coming out with in January. So yeah, but it definitely has always kind of been like a pop R&B type genre.
Gotcha. Once you kind of settled on that, who were you listening to? Like, who were some of the influences behind the pop R&B world?
A lot. I would say now,
It's changed through the years.
yeah, I would say, I mean, we've always grew up listening to Celine Dion, and like to us, I mean, she's like one of the best vocalists ever.
In terms of vocal.
Yes, in terms of vocals. Lady Gaga, Pink, now Dua Lipa, Halsey are definitely our inspirations for sure.
Definitely lyrically, it's always been Stevie Nicks.
Nice.
We just love the way
She's
that
never surface level, and I just love that.
we love going very deep, especially with our music.
And
Because I love
speaking the
finding
message.
like meaning behind it, and it can mean something different for everybody. That's what we love. And then also we've definitely gotten into like early 2000s and kind of modernizing that, because I love early 2000s, like Jordan Sparks. Yes.
Yep.
Leona Lewis, like all of that. Love them.
Nice.
Them.
That's so you're kind of mixing a little bit with the classical, like Stevie Nicks sound with some more of the, I guess not even modern, because like it's so weird. 2000s were 20 plus years ago.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of turning that more into like
More
our
into
sound.
yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So so you guys are based out in Nashville now. How often are you out playing shows? Are you playing pretty consistently, or is it more focused on the writing and getting songs out?
So since we've released our EP, I mean, we just, for the past year, it took us about a year to finish the EP, but we've been in and out of the studio constantly. We had a few gigs here and there, but we're just mainly focused on just getting the album out. But now we are headlining a show. It'll be our EP showcase in about a month. So we're super excited for that. And yeah, we're just hopefully within the new year to start booking shows like outside of Nashville.
Nice.
So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now.
You brought up the EP, which you're talking about, Rewritten, which was released back in August, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. How is that leading to a full length album, or do you see that just kind of being a standalone EP and then you'll kind of move forward from there?
I think currently it'll just be the standalone EP. And I think now we're just focused on just releasing singles. And then hopefully, within the future, hopefully in the future, a full album. So,
yeah, because I've often said that like a full album is good, but really only if you're out playing multiple times a week and not in the same area, like you're actively, whether it's touring around Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, like a region, then an album is good. But for right now, I feel like a lot of people benefit from singles.
Oh, absolutely.
Nice. So where you kind of mentioned that you got a new song coming out at the beginning, or hopefully by the beginning of the year. Where are you kind of at creatively right now? Besides that, are you currently writing more, recording more? Where are you kind of at?
Both. I'd say both. I mean, we've set up a lot since our EP release. We've been meeting with a bunch of new artists and more pop artists here in Nashville, which, I mean, it's been going really, really well. We're so blessed with the people that are in our circle and that we've, been introduced to. But yeah, we're, like Aaron stated, both.
When you're here for a while, like the people that you first meet, it's great and all that, and you still stay with them, stay in contact with them, obviously. And then even from people they know, you kind of evolve and you kind of keep moving up and up
find
and
your circle.
kind of finding people that you, I guess, mesh with more creatively.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're doing right now. And I'm so thankful because the people we are working with are really, really excited with the projects that we do have coming for sure. And our producers are amazing. And then a lot of the songwriters that we write with now, they just have really, really good visions and they've helped us so much and they have a vision for us together going forward too. And I love having everybody that we have to help us. We're all kind of on the same page, on the same team, and everybody wants to help everybody. So that's
great about
really
living in
fun.
Nashville, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really sweet.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about Nashville is the fact that once you kind of find your group, your tribe, you know, like whatever you want to call it, it's a real team effort, regardless of you know who it is. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So kind of moving forward, what outside of music, when you guys get time to yourselves or away from the industry, what do you like to get into?
That's easy for you to.
I know, time to ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like always extremely busy. We actually do have full-time jobs, you know, because being an artist in music is very expensive.
Yep.
Her and I actually both work in healthcare during the day. And we both just graduated with our bachelor's degrees about 2 months ago. So we've been doing full-time music, school, and work. So it's been a lot, but it's good. I mean, we love the grind. We're super hard workers and very, very driven. We know, what we want to do and where we want to go in music. And yeah, I mean, we are super blessed for our day jobs as well, and for them being lenient and and everything. So yeah, but I guess in my downtime, I personally I love going to the gym and hanging out with friends and I guess going out any chance we can get just to meet new people and connect. So
Fair.
yeah.
Sure. Hey, it's one of those things where it's like you're still so young in the game right now, where it's like that day job is going to be your salvation in a lot of ways, where it's like it breaks up the monotony of the music industry. So it's like you have, even though maybe while you're working, it's like you're thinking about that song or whatever. But I think it's the routine of a day job that gives you that freedom to think about that song.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you.
It really does.
Yeah.
And we're trying to move more towards actually just having remote jobs at this point too. So if you go and tour and we go and travel and do all that type of stuff, then it's just a lot more flexible for us because eventually we don't want to have day jobs.
Right.
Whenever that happens.
I think that's everybody's dream right now is,
right, and just do our music and
right.
be able to just do strictly that.
Yeah. My goal is by the end of next year to be either be 100% remote in a job or have this be 100% my job. So
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I like having the flexibility to travel because I love Texas. Don't get me wrong. I've been here for 5 years and I love it here, but having the flexibility to go visit my dad down in South Florida or go visit my sister up in Indiana or go to New Mexico or go to Nashville, that's the flexibility I want. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. We're the exact same way.
Right. So, when you guys are playing shows consistently, how often are you playing? Are you playing multiple times a week, a couple times a month?
I'd say a couple times a month. And like I stated, I think probably for a good chunk of 3-4 months, we weren't really gigging at all just because we were focusing strictly on just getting our EP released.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the new year and the upcoming future, we have a lot more shows booked. So yeah.
Do you find it's harder in Nashville to get gigs, or being more of a pop artist instead of your traditional singer-songwriter?
Not really. No, not
No?
really. I mean, when we first moved here, and we were introduced to writers' rounds, I mean, I didn't know what that was until we moved to Nashville. But I guess you could say the writers' rounds were more country dominated, but I mean, we were booked we played at probably every single writer's round you could name in Nashville, and we performed at Listening Room Cafe, and a lot of artists around us were mostly country, but I think it was great because it helped us stand out, and it was something you could add different, to the lineup. So it was never really hard to get a gig for us, I guess.
Yeah. So even though, even though you consider yourself more pop musicians, you're still rooted in like songwriting and
For sure.
performing as,
Exactly. Mhm.
yeah.
I mean, we have so many friends in, obviously in the industry here, but they're in so many different genres.
Mhm.
But it's great to, I mean, we collaborate with, whoever,
Yeah.
so.
And a lot of the like pop, rock, R&B scene is all in
Yeah.
East Nashville, and there's
Yep.
a lot of venues over there that
Yeah.
always have just strictly pop artists, rock
Yeah.
artists. So you got to kind of get in with that.
And I think
Yeah.
within the new year, we're leaning more towards booking more gigs in East Nashville.
Nice.
With that
East Nashville is really cool. So
Oh, it's so fun. It reminds us of our hometown because we're from Richmond and it's very like artsy and like urbany and it feels like home, to be honest.
Yeah.
It does.
So I was out in Nashville in July or June for CMA Fest, and
Yes, yeah, we were out. Mhm.
yeah, and so I'd been throwing around this idea for a live podcast, bringing singers, basically imagine like a song swap, but as a podcast.
Yeah.
So like basically this, but then in between you're playing, you have a handful of musicians that play songs or whatever. And I pitched it to a venue in Nashville, out in East Nashville. And they're like, yeah, sure. Why not? Come on, do it. We don't care. I'm like, all right.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so one of my friends helped me set it up. They're like, yeah, it's a really cool vintage pinball bar out in East Nashville. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
I show up. It's like it's a vintage pinball bar, but it's like a punk bar, like a lot of punk bands play there and stuff.
Okay.
And
Do you know what it's called?
It's called No Quarter.
No Quarter. I don't think I've been there.
I don't think I've been there either, actually.
But
Yeah.
I walk in and everybody in there looks like they just got out of a Rancid concert, but then you go into the back room, you go into the back room and they're blasting 90s and 2000s hip hop. And I'm like, what kind of weird amalgamation of life is this? So
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
yeah, it was a really cool.
There's a place for everyone here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So kind of looking forward, when you guys are like more focused on writing and whatnot, how's that process kind of play out between the two of you? Does Megan, are you more the writer, or Aaron, how does it kind of play out?
I mean, I think we both are. I personally, I guess I got into songwriting maybe in high school by writing poems.
Nice.
That was just, a way to, get my emotions out on like a piece of paper and stuff. So, yeah, I think that for me, and I think, when we're songwriting with other artists or, just her and I mean, sometimes I would just, think of an idea and, something on my heart and I would just write it and I would bring it to her.
Yeah.
And then kind of vice versa. And then we would just, bring that to our producer or whatever songwriter we're working with that day. And then, kind of come up with a melody. I think it kind of depends. I mean, sometimes it just depends on the artist you're working with. But I mean, sometimes we come up with a really cool melody. I'm like, yo, like, I love this melody. Let's add some like lyrics to this. Or you come up with a really cool idea and already kind of have a good chunk of like the hook or the lyrics, and then you put melody with that. So I guess it kind of just depends. I mean, we've done both. So
there's
each session's different.
many different ways to write songs. About 100%. But yeah, I started songwriting when I was in middle school, and then just obviously the experiences that I was going through and all of that. And then obviously since I've gotten older, we've gotten older, we have gone through different experiences, but it's really cool because there always is kind of just a kind of a topic that it's always under. And I'm like, okay, let's kind of mix this together. It's relatable. Let's mix this together so we can both, it means something to both of us. And we've always been able to do that. So that's what's really nice.
Nice. You'd mentioned that you've both gone through different experiences. Was there a point in your musical career where you thought you guys would do like individual projects, or was it always kind of like, no, we're sisters, we want to do this together?
Definitely. I feel like maybe later in life, it would be cool to do a solo project, but definitely we never thought about that now because I think we really want to just build what we have together.
And since we put all this time and effort into being a duo, I mean, and it's working. It's everything's going great so far. So we just kind of are focusing on, just our group. So
Yeah, I got you. Well, I was more curious about like when you first started playing music, like was there ever a thought that that could be the way, like instead of y'all playing together, like when you first got started? So I don't know.
no, I don't think so because I think just being twins, it also adds that like unique factor
Mhm.
and kind of helps us stand out. So I think we always consider just being together.
And
I don't think it was ever like a second thought, to be
I think in
honest.
general, because when you grow up and you're like, oh my gosh, when we were young, we've always both had the eye for the music. We always had
Yeah.
that
Dream.
and the dream. So it was kind of funny that we both did and then we both can sing. So I'm
Yeah.
like, it just seems like inevitable that we just had to be together,
Right.
Fair. And not to say that like doing your own separate projects is there's no wrong way to do the music industry. It's just always kind of curious, or it's always kind of interesting to see what goes into the thought process behind music and like where you see things going moving forward. Yeah. So
No, I understand. Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. So how often do you get to go back home to Virginia? Is it not that often or?
Not super often. Typically, whenever it's the holidays.
So we'll be going home for Thanksgiving and then Christmas. It's only a 9-hour drive to Richmond. It's a straight shot. It's not that bad. I mean, we made the drive last year because our flight got canceled because of the storm. But
we typically fly when we go home because it is a nonstop flight.
yeah, but I would say like probably 2 times a year. But our parents were here in May. No, they weren't. August. Sorry, they were here in August to come visit us, and then I mean they visit whenever they can. They're like, yeah, me and your father like want to plan a trip. I'm like, okay, come,
Cool.
and they have a place to stay. So, and we have a lot of friends that love to come. I mean, who doesn't want to come to Nashville? So we have a lot of friends who like to come too.
Right.
So yeah.
It sounds like I almost, if I want my friends to come visit me, I just need to move to Nashville because like Waco's a hard sell because it's not easy to get in and out of Waco unless you want to fly through Dallas. So
That's true.
Right.
And Dallas's airport is huge.
It is.
I got
totally.
lost.
Every time I fly through Dallas, they always put me in some random terminal. And then I have to like run. I have like 40 minutes to run across like 5 terminals to
Oh my
get to my next
gosh.
flight. And it's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm going to drive from now on. I don't need to do this. So
Yeah, that's tricky.
yeah. So kind of looking forward, obviously you got new music on the horizon. Do you have any big shows confirmed for 2025 yet, or is it still just kind of, there?
So we do have the one we mentioned, the one we're headlining in about a month. I mean, it's a pretty like big show for us. So I mean, we're pretty much focused on that and just getting that underway. And then probably we'll book shows, after that.
Yeah.
We definitely have venues in mind and venues that we talked about with our manager that she's like, oh, well, guys should go here and then try to go there. So we definitely have other venues in mind.
Yeah, and we'll probably book a lot more shows probably within like January, February in Nashville and then start to work our way outside of the state.
Nice. Well, if you ever want to come to Texas, let me know.
Okay.
Love to.
I've never been to Waco before, but I've been to Dallas before.
Yeah.
So.
See, everybody associates Waco with 2 things, and one of them is not a great association, which is the Waco siege and the Branch Davidians and that whole situation that happened in the 90s. But now recently with Chip and Joanne and their home building empire and home remodeling empire, everybody wants to come here to do the fixer-upper thing. So yeah. And that's always the Magnolia, which is like their big headquarters of home goods and all that stuff. So yeah, that's kind of our thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't really know anything about Waco at all.
Yeah.
I really do want to visit Austin, Texas, because I heard it's very similar to Nashville.
Yes. Austin's got a really cool live scene. Especially just like not even just Austin proper, but even if you come up into like Georgetown or down into like Bastrop or, even like the suburbs have like really kicking scenes. So it's an experience because I keep telling everybody, if you're going to come to Texas, fly into Dallas and then just drive down 35 and you're not going to miss anything. So
yeah,
that's kind of the gist of it right there. Cool. So I don't want to keep you here too much longer. If anybody wants to check out your music, the new EP, your upcoming show, social media, all that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
So our Instagram, it's at Aleeda Blu. Our TikTok is at Aleeda Blu Music, and then we do have a website which will have all of our shows, our merchandise, our story about us, and that's www.aleedablu.com. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's where you can check out everything and join our email list and keep up to date with those shows and everything. So yeah.
Awesome. So did you guys get the elusive same social handle across all social platforms?
We did, yeah.
Nice.
And it wasn't taken.
Right.
So yeah, which is great.
I mean, I guess with Aleeda Blu, the way you spell it, it would probably be really hard for that to be
I know.
not available.
There's somebody else to have that.
Which
Right.
is great.
Yes.
Nice. So I guess before we wrap this up, because I do have to ask, obviously you explained the story of Aleeda Blu, but how did you come up with the spelling of Aleeda?
Well, we were originally going to spell it Aleida,
Mhm.
but I was like, I just felt like people would have a hard time. And I think we talked to our brother, and he was like, why don't you just do a double E? Like, that's so much easier. And I'm like, okay. And I don't know if people would spell it like Alieda or AL, you know what I mean? So I was like, let's just do the double E. That's just easier. And I guess it looked better written out, too. So that's kind of the reason why.
It looks really cool. It gives you some flexibility to play with it a little bit if you like as you're
With the
making like
double E.
logos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And before we came on here, you were surprised I said the name correctly. What is the
Yes.
most common mispronunciation you guys have had?
I've heard like Aleida.
Yeah.
I mean, our mom's name, it's spelled Elida, and people
Mhm.
pronounce it wrong all the
Yeah, like
time.
Aleeda.
Aleida. Yeah.
Most of the time people pronounce it right.
Okay.
But sometimes I always have in the back of my mind, I'm like, will they?
Right.
Yeah. Will they?
Well, it's always, for me, it's always one of those things where there was one podcast that I did that somebody had like a super common name and it was spelt a little bit different. Like I think there was like a C instead of a K or something. Like it was like a super common name and it threw me off and I mispronounced it so bad. And they're like,
Ooh.
oh, it's like Mike or whatever, but it was like a C instead of a K or something like that. I was like, that makes no sense to me. Your name is Mice. I don't know.
I'm like, you sure?
Yeah.
Or I know, I think the way they spell Megan too. I mean, some people like Megan Kelly, they spell it with a Y. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Mine's the easiest way possible, Megan.
Yeah,
Yep.
short way.
And then every once in a while there'll be one with an H in there somewhere.
There is Meghan or Meagan. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Mine is Tom. I'm good. You cannot screw that one up.
Yeah, our dad's name's Tom.
Our dad's name's Tom.
Yeah, nice. Except every once in a while somebody will put an H in there, which yes, that is my full name, Thomas. But when it's Tom, it's like, no, take that H out. We don't need no H.
No, we don't need the H.
No.
We don't want the H.
But yeah, once again, I really appreciate it. You guys are absolutely amazing and welcome back on anytime.
That's nice.
Yes, it was great. Thank you so much for having us on your podcast.
Yeah, your time.
Absolutely. Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in and we will see you all later.